Curtains come down on the 26th Conference of Parties on Climate Change in Glasgow in Scotland, with world leaders making pledges of doing all they can to free the planet from the shackles of climate change.
That the world risks facing a global catastrophe unless leaders shift gear on climate change.
One of the global leaders is President Uhuru Kenyatta, who took the world stage to outline the impacts of climate change to the world in general and Kenya in particular.
We need to urgently implement bold mitigation and adaptation measures to avert the looming crisis. It is the least that we can do to bequeath a peaceful and sustainable planet to future generations.
This belief is in a stark contrast to the situation on the ground. When President Uhuru Kenyatta took office in 2013, his administration undertook massive infrastructural development projects which had massive impacts on the environment. According to scientists from the Development Corridor Partnership, the construction of SGR caused massive increases in soil erosion, land degradation, flooding, sedimentation of water bodies, habitat destruction, and other environmental impacts. And that is not all.
Now, despite the Kenyan government saying that Kenya is making strides to reduce carbon emissions as well as embracing green energy in a bid to reduce the global warming, this as an example is the Nairobi Expressway, which once completed will pave way for infrastructural development. However, thousands of trees have actually been felled, and a section of Kenyans are expressing concerns that soon cities will turn into corporate jungles.
Environmental experts argue that there is a thin line between infrastructural development and environmental degradation.
It is key that from that very point, if the business or your business has not already done so, to start integrating biodiversity conservation into that corporate strategy. And the second also is, to support efforts by co-financing reforestation projects. For me, I say for future profits, then we must invest in nature now, not tomorrow, now. It is time for African countries, African governments, African leaders, African businesses to invest in nature now.
According to Josephine Nyawira, an environmental activist, is warning that the governments should think about the unwelcome environmental degradation that can take place if transport infrastructure, such as railways and roads, are not well planned for environmental sustainability.
Ancient forests are logged to make space for agriculture. Carbon emissions cause global overheating. Sea levels are rising. Oceans become more acidic. And the innumerable numbers of species that continue to get extinct. And if we are not careful, we are going to be the next extinct, species. And on a global scale, if we look at it, biodiversity is, honestly speaking, on the verge of collapse. What we have to understand is that the actions of this few or this small group of people has contributed massively to the loss of billions of shillings to the tourism industry, which contributes about 4.4% to the Kenya's GDP.
The realities of climate change in the country are evident in counties in the Rift Valley, where over the last 8 years or so, the water levels have been rising from an average of 3 meters to the highest level of approximately 8.5 meters, recorded in April 2020. According to environmentalists, the phenomenon is caused solely by climate change.